IP1, IP of the PC1, and this is the IP of the server 192.168, for example, 1.2. Okay, the source IP is IP1 and destination IP is IP2. You will see all of these features in this course. I will capture and I will show you the source IP, destination IP. Okay, from IP1 to IP2, source IP, destination IP, and this is the header of the IP. Also, in response, we have the similar header. In this header, we have again the source IP. Here, the source IP is IP2, destination IP is the IP1. Why? Because now the server is sending the packet to the, for example, to the client. Because of that, let me to delete all of this information because all of them are same. Here, as you can see now, for the first packet, this is the first segment. This contain the data, contain the HTTP header, contain the TCP header, includes segment or sequence number, and this is the IP header, IP1 to IP2. And now we have a packet. One of the most important functions of the network layer is the addressing. Also, don't forget that we have another function for the IP or network layer. We call it routing. I mentioned it before in the previous videos. You know that in the layer 3 or network layer, okay, this is the network layer, we have two important functions, two important tasks. The first is addressing. As you can see here, now the IP is using for addressing of the packets or the segments. After that, we have another function, we call it the routing. Okay, let me to talk about a little about the routing, but the routing is a huge topic and is a has many features. You will learn about the routing in this course and also in the CCNP. Also, it's one of the most interesting and most useful functions of the network. Let me to talk about a little more than this about the routing. You know that I talked about the routing in previous videos, but here I'm going to talk about more than previous videos about the routing. Look at here. Assume that we have a network, and in these networks we have two type of connection. The first type of connection is the intra-network connection, and the second type is the inter-network connection. Let me to write here. For example, I have one PC1, okay, connected to the one switch, and then here in this network we have a connection to a router. You know that we are using the routers for connecting our networks to other networks. Also, our switch connected to one server. This is our server. Okay. After that, our router connected to the another switch, and after that, or for example, it can connect with the point-to-point links to another router. It's better. This is the router 1, and this is the router 2. Okay, and then here we have again another switch, the switch 2, for example, switch 2, and this switch 2 connect to a server. This is a server, for example, a web server, www, and also this is also a server with the and this is a web server. Okay, we have many type of server, but this is a www server or HTTP server. Okay, I'm going to talk about a little more about the routing. Okay, and you know that when we are using the networks, inside of the networks we should use the same range of IP address. You learned about this in the previous video. For now, let me to use this range of IP address in these networks, 192.168.10/24. This is the range of these networks. We call it network A. From here to here, this is the network A. Okay, after that we have another network. This is the network B, for example, from the router to the server. This is network B, and in network B I'm going to use the 192.168.20, for example. Here is the network of 192.168.20/24. That's it. Okay, and also the IP of the server in the for example, net A is 0.10, means 192.168.110/24, and the IP of the server in net B again is 0.10, means 192.168.210. Okay, I'm going to show you two a function of the IP address, IP protocol about the routing. You know that the first function is assigning the address, okay, to the for example packets, but the second function is the routing. I'm going to talk about the routing specifically in this video. Look at here in this part of the video. You know that we are creating the HTTP packet, the HTTP packet or HTTP for example request or reply, and after that we gave this HTTP request, this is our message, you know it. And after that, we created a segment how HTTP request sent to the TCP, for example, and TCP created a segment for us. Okay, you learned about this in previous part of this video. After that, we we give this packet to the IP as the network layer protocol, and IP should create one packet for us, and this is the packet or datagram. Packet is the data with the IP header, you know it. And now this is the function of the addressing of the IP protocol. This is the function of the IP protocol. You know that IP means internet protocol. One of the function of this protocol is addressing, as you can see here. In this header, we have source IP and also we have destination IP. Let me to write here. For example, we can say we have two message from the PC1. In the first part, I'm going to see the web page that is residing on this IP address 192.168.110. Because of that, the source IP, if the IP address of PC1 is 0.20, means 168.120, the source IP is 192.168.120, destination is 192.168, for example 110. Look at here we have two servers. The first server contains the website of www.example for example 1.com. This is the first server, okay, or first website. Also here we have another website, www.example2.com, okay. And because of that, first I'm going to see the web page of the www.example1.com. Because of that, I'm creating the HTTP request for this website, and the source IP is 192.168.120, destination is 192.168.110. Okay, this is the HTTP request from PC1 to the server. Here we used the IP address for example address, the IP for the IP addressing, but we have another function of the IP. Let me talk about that. Assume that in PC1 we created this packet, and now we want to decide that how we can send this traffic to the destination. The function of IP routing now is starting. IP first should check the destination IP. Okay, the destination IP is 192.168.110, for example. After that, it should compare its IP address network ID with the destination IP. You know that our network ID, okay, net ID or subnet ID or network ID is 192.168.1.0. You know it, okay? You learned about it, and you know that 24 bits of the IP address of the PC1 is the network ID, okay, or subnet ID. Because of that, the IP protocol should compare the first 24 bits of its IP address, this computer IP address, with the destination IP, and it can find that this first 24 bits equal with the 24 bits of the destination IP. Because of that, IP can understand that the destination IP is residing in our networks, and we can send directly the traffic to the destination. This is the routing, okay? This is one type of routing. Routing means that we should understand that the destination IP or the destination host is residing in our networks or another network. Because of that, in the first example, we saw that the IP, with comparing the destination IP with the network ID bits of this computer can find that the destination is residing in our networks or another networks. According that, it can decide to send the traffic directly to destination or give the traffic to the for example, default gateway. But let me to give you another example. Assume that I'm going to watch the content of the www.example for example to example2.com, okay, example2.com, and we need to create one HTTP request with the source IP of 192.168.120, destination IP is 192.168.210. Okay, here after assigning this address with IP protocol, again IP protocol should do the routing function. Again, we need to compare destination IP with the subnet ID of the for example this computer. The destination IP is 192.168.210 and the net ID is 192.168.10. When we are comparing these values 192.168.1 to first 24 bits with the destination IP, we can understand that the destination is not residing in our networks, and because of that we need to give the traffic to the router. This is the routing. Okay, routing means with comparing destination IP with this subnet ID of our IP address, we can find how we can send the traffic to destination. For example, we can give the traffic to the for example directly to the destination, or we need to send the traffic to the router. But also let me to say that this is the routing in the PC1. We have some devices, we call them routers, or the devices that we are using them for routing. In routers we have some another features, for example a routing table for finding the destination IP reachable from which interface. Let me to give you one example. You will learn about all of these features in the future, but let me to give you now only one overview about this feature. Assume that this is our networks. Let me to write here. This is our copper cable. Here we have a network. This is the router 1. Router 1 connected to router 2. This is the router 2. And after that we have another router, router 2. You know that each router connected to one or more than one LAN. This is the first LAN or second LAN. This is LAN B, okay, or network B. And network B has one subnet. Again, here we have LAN C. This is the LAN C. And after network C, and here is the LAN A. Okay, and this is the LAN part. And also you know that these routers are connecting to each other with some service providers, as I mentioned before, with the point-to-point links, or in some cases with another type of connections such as the multi-point connection, EOM, PLS, or some other connection. Okay, now this is our scenario. In this scenario, as you can see, we will see the scenarios like this in this course, with more explanation, with more detail, with IP addressing and also implementation, but it's sufficient for our understanding now. Look at here, the IP address that we are using in LAN A is 192.168.10/24, and the IP address that we are using in this LAN B is 192.168, for example 20/24, and here 192.168.30/24. Also here we have IP address.